but you do have to teach them to write, and somebody who's obviously rather good at that is Emma Kite, who is a teacher at Rufforth Primary School. She's their literacy coordinator, and she's been there for the past 15 or 16 years, and I'm delighted to say that she joins us on the line this morning. Good morning, Emma.
Good morning.
Thank you very much indeed for coming on the programme. Listen, somebody in the office said if you're going to talk about handwriting on your show, Jonathan, you should look at Rufforth School, because you actually tweet pictures of your young students' handwriting. You're so proud of them.
We do indeed, and we are very proud of them and the progress that they make, and we try to share their experiences and their good work with parents and family and friends of the school.
Why do you place such a high priority on? I don't know whether you think you place a high priority, but why do you place a priority on good handwriting?
Well, really, I guess it's because we consider that learning to handwriting is a key skill, really, on the route to becoming a great writer, which is, of course, what we hope for all of our children.
Is that a universal across all schools? Because, I think you do hear parents say, I'm a bit worried about my child's handwriting. I don't know whether they bother to do any at school, and this research that's been done suggests that actually precious few parents know what a school's handwriting policy is, and they don't themselves sit down to practice handwriting with their own kids.
I suppose this may be in part because of new technologies that have come into play over recent years, but certainly I think since the bringing in of the new national curriculum, there's been a real return to traditional values, spelling, grammar, punctuation and handwriting is certainly key within that. And we do indeed set great store on it, and we practice daily.
You do, so it's every day?
We practice daily. Sounds like a tall order, I know, but we do find that drip feeding and little and often is the best approach.
And tell me about people's approach to handwriting, because as an adult, it's one of those things that you tend to do automatically. You do it without thinking, and it's part of you, it's part of your personality, the way you write. But you're there with young people at this extraordinarily privileged stage, I suppose. You are there at the moment when their handwriting forms, and that might be the way their handwriting is until the day they die.
Indeed, and we do find that when children come into early years, that their experience with handwriting varies considerably. So we are indeed very often, most often in fact, starting at the very beginning. So we're starting with things like, perhaps tracing your finger in a box of glitter or writing with water. And what you're doing is you're learning to recognise and replicate those shapes of letters that you have seen around you in the environment and in books that you have come across.
And this, I suppose, could be the first time that a child actually has to do that fairly delicate, precise hand-eye coordination. It's sort of, it's motor skills and brain synapses and all that kind of stuff going off, isn't it?
It certainly is, and for some children, of course, that's significantly easier and more straightforward than it is for others. And children who come into school having spent much time scribbling, if you like, which is almost pre-writing in effect, and colouring and enjoying holding a pencil or pens, crayons, etc., certainly does seem to have an advantage in the very earliest of stages.
Do some little children actually arrive at school able to write?
They do sometimes. It's still quite rare, but it does still happen, and we're always thrilled when we have those children in school, as they're very good at modelling to their peer group. But more often than not, we're talking about children who really need things from the very earliest of stages. Indeed, sometimes knowing how to sit correctly and hold a pencil properly.
Yeah, it's a fascinating process, isn't it? The thought that you're actually there at the genesis, at the very, very start of someone's writing career. If a child has problems with handwriting, is it a sign that there may be something more deeply wrong or difficult about the process of that child learning?
Occasionally, not always. Sometimes children who struggle with handwriting and fine motor skills generally, we have to check carefully perhaps that they're not showing dyspraxic tendencies, in which case anything to do with fine or indeed gross motor skills could be more challenging. And for those children, we'd need to find additional routes in and spend additional time learning to train children's hand. But it is harder definitely for some children than others.
I'm going to retweet some of your pictures of your youngsters' handwriting, because I think it's wonderful. It's absolutely beautiful, the things you get them to do. You quite clearly do you do like different shapes of letters on different days, so that you get used to forming, I don't know, today's all about B's and tomorrow's all about the T's and things?
What we tend to do is to link handwriting very closely to our phonics learning, which we see as our route into reading and writing.
It's very clever stuff, and it's rather beautiful. I'm going to retweet it. Lovely to speak to you this morning. Emma, thanks very much indeed for coming on the programme.
Thank you. You're very welcome.
Have a good weekend.
Will do. Bye-bye now.
Bye-bye. Emma Kite, who's the literacy coordinator at Rufforth Primary School.